Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's topic, I wanted to talk about how romanticizing my reality has improved my life and why I think you guys should do it as well. So, some of you guys might be new to my channel, but in my channel, I make a lot of videos where I romanticize my life. And I know for some you might think that like my videos are just for aesthetic purposes, but I honestly believe that like ever since I started using this philosophy of romanticizing my life, it has improved my life greatly. So let's begin with my origin story of how romanticizing reality came to be. So I was incoming my second year of university, and this was during a time where I felt very lost and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. In the beginning, first year, I wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to go to med school. But immediately, like once I had my first semester, I completely was like having like a breakdown because I was like, wait a minute. I realized I do not want to become a doctor. And when I finally came into second year, I had no idea what I was interested in. I had no path. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Second year is usually the time that a lot of people join clubs or they join committees, they do internships during this time. And while everyone was doing that in like university, I was just going to my classes. And I also noticed like during my second year, I was heavily influenced by what other people thought about me. I remember during my second year, I kept on caring so much about what other people thought about me, and also, I think I also kind of expected other people to fulfill like a void inside in me. Like because I was feeling so lost or like lonely, I kind of put on expectations on other people that like if I would like be with them or if I fulfill this relationship, then I would feel complete because deep down I was feeling so lost. But then something switched in my mind, and this might be a little bit cringe for some people. But there's this movie, it's called The Holiday, it's a rom com movie. And there's this guy who tells the girl, and he goes, you are the leading lady, but I don't know why you're acting like you're the best friend. And then in my mind, there was kind of like a light bulb switch in my brain where I was like, wait a minute, why is that low key me? Why am I living my life like I'm the best friend when I'm the leading lady in my own movie? And once I started thinking that way, I was kind of thinking like I'm in a chapter in my life where I'm kind of sad. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel lost, but that doesn't mean that I can't do anything about it. I can just if I'm like sad about my life right now, I can rewrite my chapter. I can rewrite my story because I'm the main character of my own movie. And I don't know, maybe some people might be looking at this and think, "Oh my gosh, that's so cringe. Like what are you like on about?" But I honestly feel like sometimes like us people like we forget that like we can control the things that are happening in our lives. So that's basically the origin story of how romanticizing reality came to be. And I know for some people like when you're watching my videos about romanticizing life, you may think it's like an aesthetic purpose, but I honestly believe like it started to become like my philosophy in life because once I started acting like the main character of my own movie, I started opening up my YouTube channel because that's something I was genuinely interested. I started applying for things I was scared of, but I knew it would build up my character development, and also I started going on a lot of solo dates and really like finding out like who am I? Like what like if I was a character in a movie, like what type of character would I be and what do I really want to do with my life? Okay guys, I kind of like changed my position because like the sun kept on hitting me, but let's continue. So, now that you guys know the origin story of romanticizing reality and how it's kind of like my philosophy in life, I kind of want to explain to you on what it really means, like romanticizing reality. So, let me read it on my phone because I want to make you guys fully understand. Romanticizing reality is the practice of finding beauty, meaning, and joy in ordinary moments, instead of waiting for extraordinary ones. It's choosing to appreciate the life you're already living, through simple routines, small adventures, meaningful relationships, and everyday experiences. Romanticizing reality is choosing to stop waiting for life to become exciting and instead finding beauty in the life you're already living. I realized I spent so much of my life waiting for the weekend, for the right person, for the next chapter that I didn't see that a walk to class, a cup of coffee, a conversation with a friend, or a quiet afternoon alone can be just as meaningful as life's biggest milestones. Romanticizing reality isn't pretending life is perfect. It's choosing to notice the little things that make it worth living. So that is the dictionary definition of romanticizing reality. And if you watch like my previous videos, I know sometimes like when you watch my videos or you like watch my solo dates, if you kind of think that like romanticizing reality is just like based on like an aesthetic. And that's true, like I do like to make my whole life like an aesthetic. But I also do believe that this whole thing, romanticizing reality, can be like a philosophy on how you can live your life. And now I want to give you guys reasons on why I think you guys should start romanticizing your reality so that you can live a better life. And this is all based from like personal experience, and I want to share it with you guys. So let's go. Okay, first reason is that you start to have an abundant mindset. So, I already told you guys, like back then when I was like in my second year or first year, I was just so stressed about, my university life because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Even if I was going through, that hardship and feeling lost and feeling stressed out, I forgot that I was studying abroad. And I don't know about you guys, but I never had dreams of studying abroad because I never thought like I could do it. I'm someone who grew up in the Philippines, and if you guys know the Philippines, it's like a very small island, which is not an island actually, it's an archipelago. So once I started thinking like that, I suddenly had to pause on like all the negative thoughts in my head and think, wait a minute, why why am I like focusing so much on a negative? Like I'm literally living a dream that my younger self would have thought like, whoa, Alex, I can't believe like you did this. So I want you guys to really think about this. Like think about like your favorite show or your favorite movie. And then think about your favorite character. Imagine if like that character did not have any problems in the show. Like they were just so perfect. They got the perfect grades. They were just naturally beautiful. If your favorite like main character from your favorite show had a perfect life, then you would honestly stop watching the show because it's so boring. And then once I started thinking like that, I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm supposed to live this life and it's okay if I have problems or if I have issues because that's what makes life interesting. So once I started changing my perspective and started, romanticizing my reality, I started number one, being more grateful for the things that I have. Every day I would journal and write three things that happened to me today that was like, a positive or a good thing that happened to me. And second, kind of like seeing my problems as a way that will make me a better person. As I started shifting my perspective, I started to, romanticize like the everyday routine that I was doing, whether that be going to class or doing my notes or having a morning and night routine. Like I think because I was more grateful and because I had a better perspective on my problems, I just did the quality of my work was better. Moving on, another reason on why I think you should start romanticizing your reality is that you start to have a higher sense of like agency. So I'm just gonna give you guys like a mediocre definition of agency because this is how I understand agency. But agency is basically the belief that you have control over your life. Back then, when I was in my first year and I was lost and I realized I didn't want to become a doctor, I realized like I unconsciously started living my life very passive, meaning like I would let life control me. But the thing is, in the philosophy of romanticizing reality, you believe that you are the main character of your own movie. And so, because you are the main character of your own movie, you have full control on what you want to do with your life. Back then, I used to believe that like the purpose of your life is to like find like your own path, but then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, I don't need to find my own path. I can just carve it. Because that's what it means to like be the main character of the movie. Like you're not trying to find the path. You're like carving your own path. Like you do the things that you want to do. So once I started acting like the main character of my own movie, I was kind of thinking like, okay, I don't know what I want to be, but the one thing that I'm really interested in is that I want to get a job because I want to get paid. So I started applying to multiple jobs. And let's be honest, did I get accepted to any of them? No. But at least I was kind of like living my life and taking control of it, instead of like just like wallowing into the sadness that I didn't know what I was doing with my life. So I did all of the applications. I only got accepted to one, it's just one job. But that job literally like changed my life because once I got that job, I kind of had an understanding of like, oh, this is something that I like. Or like, I kind of like got to understand like, oh, this is something that I like in a job and this is something that I don't like in a job. This leads to my next point, which is my third reason. And it's that once you start romanticizing your life, you start to make better decisions for yourself. So think about this. Imagine like your life is a show or it's a movie, and imagine like the audience watching your movie or watching your show, and you're about to like make a decision. Like, and you think like, what would the audience say? Once I started thinking that way, like every time I would like make a decision, I would think like, oh, what would the audience say? Would they say, yes, you should do it? Or would they say, no, don't do it? And this made it easier for me to make better decisions for my life. For example, one thing that like I'm scared to do is to apply for research. Research is something that like I've always been interested in, and I kind of want to try to see if if that's like a path that I want to like pursue, but it scares me. And sometimes like when something scares you, you tend to think that like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it because I'm so scared, and like it's not good for me. Like I my heart beats so fast. Like when I was applying for research, I felt like imposter syndrome. I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But then I thought, what if the audience were watching me right now? Would they tell me to pursue it or would they not tell me to pursue it? And the audience, like if you really think, like the audience would say, no, you should pursue it. Even if like you're so scared to do it, like this is something that's good for you. Because you know that the audience, if they were watching your movie or your show right now, they would tell you like, no, even if you're so scared, like you should still do it. Not only do you make better decisions, but you also prevent yourself from making decisions that could ruin like your character development. My next reason on why I think you should start romanticizing your reality, and it's kind of like the same idea as like what people say on TikTok. And the phrase is like, do it for the plot. And that phrase kind of aligns with romanticizing reality in a sense that like sometimes like even if you're scared or even if like you like get anxiety doing it, like just do it for the plot. Like just so that your life can be interesting. And that's my next reason on why I think you should start romanticizing your life. And that's because by following that philosophy of like just do it for the plot, you just make your life more interesting. So if you watch like my TikToks, like my shorts, like you can see that I have been going on a lot of solo dates. Ever since I started romanticizing my reality, I started going on solo dates that kind of made me nervous. For example, I went to an outdoor movie screening, and usually like I was like kind of nervous because I was like low key alone and I saw so many other people like they were like all together, but I just did it like by myself. But like by having those experiences, it just made my life more interesting. Doing that, like by doing it just for the plot, it just made my life more interesting that I honestly stopped caring what other people thought about me because I was so focused on like making the life that I have more interesting that I didn't really care anymore about other people's like opinion about me. And my last reason on why I think you should start romanticizing your reality is because you start to like develop a healthier self-esteem, or you just start to like just become a more confident person. So back then when I thought of this philosophy like romanticizing reality and thinking that you are the main character of your own movie, I used to think that like Loki that's like narcissistic because like who do you think you are? Like the world does not revolve around you. I honestly think that's like a misconception when it comes to like romanticizing your life. I don't think it's narcissistic. I think it's more of the fact that like you just learn to love yourself and to love your life. And by loving like your life, you start to live more with intention. The thing is that once you start to romanticize like who you are, like and your life, and you start to think that your life is like this whole show or like this whole movie, I think you also start to accept like your imperfections. So this is just like for me, like based from personal experience. But once I started seeing myself as like a character in a show, and I really thought about like all my favorite characters, all of them have like imperfections. But the thing is that their imperfections is the reason why I love them so much. For example, I love my favorite show is Avatar: The Last Airbender, animated show. Okay, and my favorite character is Katara. But the thing is that Katara, if you get to know her character, her weaknesses is that she can be very sensitive. And when I look at her, like, yes, it's a weakness, but I also feel like it's her strength. And that's one of the reasons why she's such a memorable character, because she is someone who feels things strongly, that she has so much passion when she's like really dedicated to something. Once I started to like romanticize my life, whether that be like the hard times or the good times, I realized that like all of these things, like the good and the bad, like they honestly build up the show or like my movie, and they just make it so interesting. And by having that acceptance, I think it just helped me like become a more confident person. So those are my top 5 reasons and why I think you guys should start romanticizing your reality. And I know that like it's this concept, this philosophy that I have created, like it's actually nothing special. Because if you really think about it, romanticizing the word, people have been using that phrase like ever since like before. But I still wanted to make this video because I still wanted, the audience, whoever's watching, I kind of hope that like people would fully understand what it means to romanticize your life, and in some way like kind of like take what you get like from this video and apply it to your life. Because I really do believe that once you start seeing yourself as the main character, or start seeing your life as a movie, you start to just like have a better and more positive experience with the way you live your life. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!